Now, I've actually been looking forward to making this video for a while now, and that is because obviously I get to put the rods out, and today I've got a couple of new rods from NGT. Now these are the profilers. I've got a 9-foot one and I've got an 11-foot, but basically the selling point of these is that they're actually a 4-piece travel rod. Now initially what I wanted to do was to book a flight to France, take this in hand luggage, go and catch a fish in France and fly back. Unfortunately, the Carpology budget doesn't quite stretch that. So instead, I am down at my local club water and I'm going to try and catch a few fish. Now, before I've started filming, I've actually put a little bit of bait out in a few different areas because I've got this whole bank to myself, which is quite nice for a change. This bank is for the snags, pads, reeds, things like that, bit of all sorts. So I've put bait in probably 4 or 5 swims, and I'm just about to get set up in the first one. Now I'm going to be using the 9-foot to start with, and if I catch something on the 9-foot, then I'll switch over to the 11 and try and catch something on that as well. But alongside the rods, they have also sent the profiler reels. So I've got 2 different sizes. I've got the 40 and I've got the 60. So again, the 40 is going to be more set up for the more the 9-footer, and then the 60 is going to be more set up for the 11-footer. But for now, let's focus on getting this rod out, because the whole time the rod's in the water, we've got a chance, haven't we? So I'll just show you the Profiler 40 reel. Really cool little reel, like I say, that matches perfectly with a little 9-foot travel rod. So I'm going to be fishing proper simple little methods, just a little blowback rig and just one rod in the swim. But there is already fish showing in this first swim, which is quite encouraging. And on this lake, there could be anything from a 3 or 4 pound common all the way up to upper 20 old crusty mirror. So if we can get one, that'll be a good day's fishing, I think. There are 100% signs of fish in here already. A few little bubbles coming up every so often close to the snag. We can get this in discreetly. I think we might have a chance. Give a bit more line. Quite deep. That's got to be 8 or 9 foot down there. Well, that didn't take long to get a bite. It was only out there for about half an hour, but unfortunately it was a bream, so slipped that back quite quickly, dropped the rod back out on the same spot, but to be honest, it has died off a little bit since having that bite. There's not the bubbling that I've been seeing throughout the morning, so I might, after this bit, I think I might move on and try one of the other areas that I've primed, but there has been fish showing a little bit further out as well, so if I need to, I'll come away from the snags or the pads and go a little bit further out and probably get the 11-foot out in that case, because obviously a bigger rod is going to be slightly better for casting. But let's actually move on to the rods a little bit. Now these rods, although they do feel very similar, they are actually classed as different rods, with the 9-foot I'm using being the ATR, which is the all-round travel rod. So that's the rod that will be great for freshwater or saltwater as well. So if you're doing a bit of boat fishing whilst you're away, something like that, then that rod is going to have you covered. But the 11-foot is a CTR, so this is a carp travel rod. So it's much more a dedicated carp rod. It's classed as 2.75 pound test curve, so you know a little bit more of what you're in for, whereas being the ATR on the 9-foot, it's more about the casting weight, which is 20 to 50 grams. But that being said, it's still got a bit of poke to it, it's got a bit of backbone, so I'd be happy to be using that as a dedicated carp rod if the smaller pack down size of the 9-foot was more favourable to you than having what's classed as more of the carp rod. I think that makes sense. But the pack down size is obviously a massive thing for these, and being a 4-piece rod, they do pack down really small, a lot smaller in fact than if you had, say, a 9-foot retractable rod. The 9-foot 4-piece rod that I've got with me actually packs down to 75 centimetres, so it is really small. But this is the 11-foot, and that still packs down to way under a metre at 89 centimetres. So again, if you're looking for more of a proper rod, a proper size rod, and you still want that sort of rod that you can chuck into a suitcase, then this is going to be the one for you. So moving on to the components, both the 9-foot and the 11-foot do share exactly the same components, and they help these rods feel a lot more premium than what the price point might suggest. You've got a super slim blank, and it is really slim, and that's both the same on the 9 and the 11 foot. That comes down to a C-guide reel seat. You've also got black framed guides and then a full shrink handle as well. And again, the handle is super slim as well. It's barely any thicker than the blank itself. So if you're wanting a tidy little setup, this is definitely going to be the one to go for. Like I say, these do feel a lot more premium than the prices actually suggest, but having a quick look online, the prices do vary a little bit, but the 9 foot comes in about 35 quid, with this 11 foot still coming in under 40 quid. I think I found it about 37.99. So they're really good prices for what they are, especially for the look and the feel of them. They definitely feel like a much higher end product than what that price point does suggest. And the nice thing about them as well, because they are fairly budget friendly, it is the sort of thing that if you're not going to use it every day, you can get one. You can keep it away until you might be going on holiday and you think, oh, I might have a chance to get a rod out. And it, like I say, it's the sort of thing that really does pack down small and you can chuck it in a suitcase. Either that, or if you're, if your kid's getting into fishing or something like that and you want a set of rods that's not going to break the bank, that's not going to take up too much room, then that's where these will really come into their own as well. But this video isn't all about rods, because I do need to try and catch a fish. So the fact that this swim here has died off a little bit, I think I might have to move swim, try one of the other spots. Okay, so I'm all settled in the next swim. This is a few swims down, and it's another one that I put a little bit of bait in earlier. There was a few signs of bubbling and things like that amongst the pads, so I thought this could be a good option to spend the next sort of few hours really. So the left-hand rod has gone just over the other side of the pads on the left-hand side of the swim, and the right-hand rod, I've actually done the same on the right-hand side of the swim. I've actually got a little bit of bubbling coming up just behind where this rod actually is, so you never know, it could be in with a shout of a fairly quick bite. The 11-foot rod I was going to put a little bit further out, but to be honest I haven't seen a lot out there, so I thought I'm better off just going over the top of where I'd put a little bit of bait earlier, and I have put another couple of handfuls over each rod as well, so hopefully something might happen. But I thought we'd have a little look at the profiler reels, and like I said, there's two different sizes available. You've got the 40 and the 60. Obviously the 40 pairs to the 9-foot rod quite nicely, and then the 60 fits the 11-foot rod nicely as well. Both reels share pretty much the same characteristics other than size and weight. One is literally just bigger than the other one, but they're really cool little reels. Obviously they have got a front drag system, so there's no free spool option or anything like that on here. These are all controlled with the front drag, which is actually a quick drag as well, so it goes from pretty tight to free running in about half a turn. So it's nice to have that flexibility. I really like front drag systems anyway, and it's become second nature really. If I do get a bite, just tightening up the front drag and then we are good to go. Alongside that, you've got 5+1 ball bearings in each of these reels and a carbon insert as well, which is going to help keep that weight down, with the 60 being the bigger and heavier one, still coming in at only just over 300 grams. But not only do they perform how they should, they also look the part, and they've got an all black design. It's actually a nice matte black design as well, so it's really subtle, really understated. You've actually got the profiler branding just on the stem here, but apart from that it's pretty much black throughout. And I think the showpiece has got to be the honeycomb design on the reel. It's a really unique design, and yeah, we might have seen it on other reels elsewhere in the industry, but to be on a reel of this sort of price point, it's definitely worth mentioning. And again, because of the honeycomb design, because it's cut out metal, you're also going to be saving a little bit of weight that way too. The other nice thing about these honeycomb spools is that you do actually get 2 line clips on them, so that's really handy in certain situations. Now, just like the profiler rods, obviously these reels are priced with the budget friendly in mind, and they definitely are. The smaller one, the 40, is actually coming in at around 25 quid, and then the 60 is obviously a bit more, because it's a bit bigger, a bit more to it, but again, it's still coming in at about 35 quid. So I think they're really good value, especially when you consider that you do get a spare graphite spool. So it's not a spare honeycomb, slightly different, but again, if you're wanting to use these for a multitude of different things, having a spare spool come with it is a really nice little benefit. Especially I think on the 40, because the size of that reel, it could quite easily be used as a feeder reel as well as a little carp reel or a surface fishing reel. There's a lot of different uses for that. So to have the spare spool and not have to worry about trying to buy an extra is yeah, a very welcome addition. Well, I guess it all came good in the end, didn't it, in the shape of this cracking old, probably scraper 20 common. What a cool fish. It was actually the 11-foot rod that done the business in the end, and it was quite a nice fight actually, because 2.75 rod is obviously quite forgiving, and a lot of this was under the tip, and yeah, the rod was bent over double. But there's no sign of any hook pull, so yeah, really cool to have one. This is exactly why it's worth persevering at old club lakes, because you never quite know what's in them. So slipping back, and if you want to find more about the NGT profile of the range, obviously head over to the NGT website. Thanks for watching.